So click the links for Odyssey. I just saw this headline where they're talking about women are going to go on a sex strike for Roe v. Wade, and I think 99% of women are looking around at each other like, let's not go that far. Let's not take it that far. Like for a day, okay, sure, we'll go on a sex strike for a day, but let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy here. It's like everyone wants to get laid. The only people who are going to go on sex strikes are people who are probably not going to have sex anyway. So click the links for Odyssey, Bit Chute. Someone I think is going to pay for Gab TV a subscription, so you can find me over there too, or Sport Channel on Coffee, Crypto Cash App, the various other links. Be sure to join the Telegram. It is an awesome, awesome, awesome platform, and Gab is an awesome platform too. If you've been kicked off Twitter, we got free speech on Twitter. Not really. I was on Twitter for 3 days. I got like 1,100 subs in 3 days, and then got kicked off. I was just a little bit having too much fun over on Twitter, and Twitter was a lot of fun. So they're still censoring pretty heavily on Twitter. Don't start thinking it's some free for all platform. I don't know what the future holds, but there's a lot of accounts who these people are getting kicked off left and right. So, is Will Smith to blame for the increasing levels of savagery? And what I thought would be an unpopular opinion is, yes, sort of. But as it turns out, there are other people who are kind of coming to that conclusion also, because he's a well-known, obvious actor who's been in huge things. He allowed some of the biggest movies in the past 20 years, right? From Independence Day to a bunch of other stuff. Men in Black were probably, I would say, his two best roles. He allowed the devil on his left-hand side to get control of him, and on stage in front of millions of people, he committed a battery upon a comedian who was his Chris Rock's thing is he's picking apart the audience because he's kind of poking a hole in the balloon of the pompous audience members, kind of bringing them down a little bit to make the TV viewers laugh, because it's, a lot of it is kind of ridiculous, like how seriously and how smug Hollywood takes themselves. So that's kind of what Chris Rock was doing, and heaven forbid these super wealthy, well-known Hollywood types get a little bit of fun poked their way. Apparently that's a bridge too far for these people. I mean, like, why do you think the Oscars and Hollywood in general is kind of suffering? Like, the reward shows have been suffering for a long time, but now even the movies are suffering because they painted themselves into a corner with wokeness and race swapping all these characters. So kind of interesting future to see what Hollywood holds when they have like $200 million movies and they're not making a profit on it. So we'll see what happens. So people on Twitter were, after that event of the Jada Smith thing, she lost a little strip of hair or something. It's like it wasn't a big deal. Millions of people lose their hair every year. It's just part of life. Yeah, but that's only men. It's different for a woman. Yeah, apparently you don't know what a woman is. We're all women now. Roe versus Wade. It's a woman's issue. Oh, really? You can't speak on this because you're not a woman. Oh no, it's cool. I'm a woman now. I'm a woman. I can speak on this. But no. This is a uterus. It doesn't look like a uterus, but it's a uterus. This is what a real woman looks like. Peak performance women are bearded. Bearded biological men are the best women. So people on Twitter were joking around. I mean, what clown world we live in? I didn't think I would live to see this level of clown world. So when they saw that, the get my wife's dick out of your mouth, they were joking around saying, "Oh, you mean it's okay to slap like Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle for their horrible istophobic comments? Well, they're comedians, and you pay to either go see their shows in person or you pay to watch them on some kind of streaming platform." Dave Chappelle listen, I don't think Dave Chappelle is funny. I think he's a nut job. So I think he has the right to say whatever the hell he wants to say. I don't pay to watch his comedy, or I won't even watch it for free because it's just too political. It's just like an angry left-wing guy who's got this axe to grind. It's like, why don't, he's not putting a gun to my head and saying, you will watch my comedy and you will laugh, like that that British movie where they pry your eyes wide open. Same thing with Ricky Gervais. I don't know what Gervais said that upset the left, but he was probably poking fun at some left-wing issues as well. And interesting to see Bill Burr is starting to find his backbone a little bit and making fun of Disney a little bit. He's making fun of the woke stuff a little bit. And he kind of poked his head up about the girl from The Mandalorian, Gina Carano, who got fired. But even then, it's like anyone can get canceled. Bill Burr wants to continue to be an actor and a comedian for another 20 years. He doesn't want to all of a sudden be on a Hollywood blacklist. So it's like he was very careful when he was talking about Gina Carano. Like, he came out in support of her, but it's like, he's a comedian. He should have come out with both effing barrels, and he didn't, and other comedians didn't either. The only one who really turned it up, the two people who turned it up to 11, you don't understand. It goes up to 11. But isn't that just 10? If you've seen Spinal Tap, probably one of the greatest films ever made. Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle. No, this is the inside of the body. I don't think it's green and glowing. Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle. They just said, we're going to go for it. And heaven forbid people have free speech. So some people were joking on Twitter, going like, "Oh, this is on the menu now. We can slap people." Yeah, you saw what happened. This guy rushed up on stage, and I don't know what he was trying to do to Dave Chappelle. He did like a flying tackle, and that was it. And then he ran off the stage, and then the security beat the hell out of him. And thank God it wasn't a white guy who did that. Thank God it wasn't a BLT white guy. It was a black guy for some reason. I don't know what his grievance with him. I'm assuming it had something to do with the LGBT stuff, which means, so you paid to go see his show, and then essentially you paid to get beat up by the bouncers and get your arm broken. That's winning. So you got a lot of people who are kind of the end result of generations of cultural Marxism, just generations of liberal permissiveness, kind of destroying Christianity over the past decades. All this kind of stuff happens. World War I and World War II were huge mistakes. How dare you say we shouldn't have got involved? Yeah, we should not have got involved. We need to have a central bank and raise taxes to go to war, or not. We don't need to do any of those things. We don't need a central bank. 1913, right? We don't need to raise taxes to go to war. We can just stay in America, keep those borders closed. We don't need to go overseas to fight a war overseas. Didn't actually need to do that. It's like 100 years later, 100 plus years later, you see what happened to America. It's like, oh, now you're debt slaves. Now the banks, you're literally debt slaves to banks, and the country's not what it was anymore. Congratulations. Are you winning? What? We fought the bad guys in both wars, and the good guys won. Yeah, the good guys win every war because they write the fucking history books. Okay, so over those post-war years, you had destruction of Christianity and the increasing numbers of single moms. Peak America was probably about 1955, and then everything after that was kind of downhill. Basic Marxist brainwashing from the media. They in the 50s they went after communism a little bit with that guy Hoover, and they put the Rosenbergs to death, who were spying for Israel and Russia, and then they just stopped fighting communism. They just gave up. It's like, okay, here, they just hand the country over to the communists who are in academia and the media. So as a consequence of that, you've had 70 years of brainwashing coming from the media, and you got this participation generation trophy of kids who were raised by these Marxists. Essentially, they're raised by the TV. So we kind of have a reverse human evolution where each generation knows less than the prior generation. They're kind of less capable of running civilization until you're going to get to the point where America's just going to slowly kind of devolve to Brazil. Sorry, Brazil. So social media like Twitter had a hand in making these fragile, broken people that you see. You see a lot of them on Twitter who are, I support the thing because CNN told me to support the thing. But like decades ago, the left wing would have been fighting against CNN, and the mainstream media would have all been evil. But now it's like they're kind of going in the same direction. So we're gonna occupy Wall Street. Oh no, now the banks financially support us. Oh, is it possible you're just subverted by those bankers? I mean, because now you've got like Bank of America and we're doing a gay pride parade. Is it possible you were subverted? I mean, you want to ask like who benefits and follow the money are those the two primary ways to start tracing down a story. So Occupy Wall Street. Yeah, it's class war, class war. It's us against the ultra less than 1%. Oh, so what happened? Oh, so they brainwashed a bunch of kids into subverting class war for race war. Oh, so you're not going to focus on the bankers and the 1% anymore? No, no, no. We're going to focus on the white construction guy who's our real oppressor. Isn't it more likely that like Bank of America, Vanguard, BlackRock, Soros, Schwab, Rothschilds, aren't those guys more likely to be your oppressor than Brett Jenkins, who's plumbing? That guy's your oppressor, and not the banker. I mean, it seems like you were subverted, probably because you were subverted. Anyway, so there was a lot of things working together to create this cultural Marxist system that you see before you. And this was all the goal, a low IQ, emotionally driven population. People who live on Twitter and they live for social media. These crazy people were made. They were shaped by the external forces of cultural Marxism to the point where if you state a simple biological reality, they will react with violence. And I'm not even talking about respecting people's pronouns in person, but which, is up to you, but and there's an argument to be made either way, but the concept of like being honest about different spaces for different identity groups of people, and I mean there are people on Twitter now who are literally saying X is Y, and it's like the language, the rhetoric, the structure, the causation, logic doesn't. You're saying 2 + 2 = 5, or we're always at war with Oceania. It's like you can only enforce those insane views through force. Which, if you read 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, you know where this is going. To hold inconsistent ideas in your idea. Oh, Clockwork Orange is the movie I was thinking of, the book and movie. To hold these inconsistent ideas in your mind and espouse them publicly is only possible through a threat of force, which is where we're headed. So, form your own identity groups, local geographic identity groups, prepare, that kind of stuff. So their whole worldview is, I say I've been off YouTube for a week and I come back and this might be a little bit too much. Mention the Rothschilds in the banking system one more time and you'll get a warning from YouTube. So their whole worldview is built on this fantasy of pronouns, stuff like pronouns being important, of winning Twitter fights. We're fighting the chat Nazis on Twitter. It's basically the same as World War II. They're insane people, and some of them, as it turns out, are dangerous, violent people. They have a lot of violent fantasies. You've seen it in Comicsgate with that guy, Michelle Perez, I think. I don't know if they're still on Twitter. They wrote a graphic novel, which is like, this is a case study in depression. You need some therapy, and you probably need some medication. That's the most depressing comic book I've ever seen in my life, to the point where I feel bad for the person who wrote it, because I know they have some serious issues. So social media allows anyone with a $50 smartphone and a data plan to get on. Oh, that's very ironic, bigot, to get online and start giving positive reinforcement for their, this is a $200 smartphone, for their insane views, which, hey, everyone's got their echo chamber. Ours is everyone finds like-minded people. And to be fair, people with right of center views, we're going on Gab, Telegram, and Odyssey. And we're enforcing our views, positive reinforcement with our people, and they're doing it with left-wing people. Here's the difference is I think our ideas are better, and we don't need to censor the left-wing ideas, where we can say, listen, you want to come in our space and talk about your ideas, that's fine. We'll give you an equal platform as long as you do the same for us. Because I know our ideas are better and they will rise to the top more likely than not, more times than their ideas will rise to the top. So that's why they censor and deplatform, and we don't have to censor and deplatform, because we flat out have better ideas. We can discuss these ideas and our ideas will rise to the top, which is why free speech terrifies them, because they know our ideas are more likely than not better. Over time, they will win out. It's not everything's 100%. Left wing has some good ideas too, but that's what the concept of the open marketplace of ideas is for, is you put everything out there and the crowd thinks them through. It's obviously the concept of rebuttal and cross-examination. It's not even in an aggressive way. It's just bringing up, you have a battle plan. The people start bringing up inconsistencies or better ways to do things, and it slowly sharpens the steel. You only get better by sword fighting other people. If you don't know your opponent's argument, you don't know your own. You have to constantly sharpen your skills with other people, and that's that open marketplace of ideas. And the left wing goes, no, we need to censor, we need to deplatform. It's only our ideas going forth. And you look at it and goes, yeah, but you guys have bad ideas, and we can quickly rebut those ideas or put them to cross-examination and point out some inconsistencies. And they're not all bad ideas, but we can help shape the ideas to come to the best conclusion, even if it's not a politically correct conclusion, or if it's not an emotionally satisfying conclusion, but it's the truth. And ultimately, you want to have the truth to go forward with the truth, to deal with the truth on its own terms, and then wherever you want to go from there. If you want to build some fantasy world where you want to dress as you please, you want to use pronouns as you please, hey, that's your right to do so. But you should always be operating. It's like, X is not Y. That's logically inconsistent. And no matter what worldview and fantasy you build up on, you have to start with the concept of like, well, a man is not a woman. Those words have different meanings. The concepts refer to different things. You kind of have to, if you're building from something that's a false, I don't know what's the core of the argument, the false dogma to start with, and you extrapolate from that. It looks like you've got a failing structure. It's going to collapse in on itself sometime in the future. You might as well start with something real, based in the real, and move on from there. Anyway, so did Will Smith set the stage on this? Yeah, in a way he did. Partially because he had no consequences. He should have been arrested right then and there. That should not have even. We asked them to leave. You got police, you got Homeland Security, you got FBI, you've got bomb squads, you got everyone. There's a bunch of sheriff's department. Everyone. There's a bunch of different people, because it's an event for mass commission of bad acts, and you got a bunch of blue check mark type people. So you got a bunch of state authority there, federal authority who were there. He should have been arrested immediately. You don't ask him to leave. It's like, you saw the crime committed in front of you. It was a probably misdemeanor battery. You have to arrest him for that. And you didn't. So that sets the stage. And what consequences did he suffer? Nothing. I mean, he's going to suffer some civil consequences, because he's going to have to reach a settlement with Chris Rock for a few $1 million, because you can't hit somebody publicly and not pay for it financially. And he's in a position where Will Smith can, he can reach a settlement and pay him something for the, pain and suffering type of thing. But he should have been out of there in handcuffs, because I think that's how civil society operates. And what you saw is, this is the new stage. And to be fair to the security guards, beat the hell out of this attacker, which is great, because it sends a strong message. Like, yeah, if you mess around with a comedian, the security guards are going to just kick you to death, which is what happened. It's great. You got a little bit of punishment, but like, yeah, Will Smith kind of set the stage, and the response to Will Smith set the stage, not so much Will Smith. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.